so lovely to meet you.
Hi, Jess. Hi.
All right, so I've asked Veronika here today to answer a few of my questions because she is a successful independent teacher who is from a non-native English background. So, Veronika, can you just tell me in the recording what country did you grow up in? Where are you now? And tell me a bit about your business. Who are you marketing to? And how are you teaching? Like, I know that you've kind of come from a one-on-one structure and you're moving into group classes. So could you just share with me a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I'm originating from mainland Europe. I'm from the Czech Republic. So my native language is completely different than English, absolutely. And I obviously did learn at school, and I went a little bit to Britain actually for other things than teaching in the past. And I learned the language at a decent level, but obviously the best is just to be here, live here, and then you learn the best. So basically, when I finished my maths degree, because I'm a math specialist, so finished my maths degree, I was already tutoring. I was tutoring since, yeah, I don't know how many years now. Well, when I was 17, I started. So basically,
Wow.
it's been about 17 years now, so half my life. And so I just moved on to full-time tuition when I finished my degree, but that was back in the Czech Republic in a completely different language. Yes, completely different curriculum, everything different. And I always knew many years before that I want to move to Britain because I really love Scotland. Actually, I did a little bit of detour of 7 years in London, so I didn't go straight to Scotland. It was just,
Okay.
that's a different story, but actually helped me a lot in many ways as well. So when I basically moved to London, specifically first to London actually, I had to learn the curriculum, and I had to learn the specific, not just English language. That was like, all right, was way worse than now, and obviously it could be still better in 10 years time, but it's fine. But I had to learn all the maths language, really, right? Because maths is the same, but you have to be able to describe it in different language. So I was literally learning how you say protractor, right angle, hypotenuse, these sort of things, right? Because I knew
It's
what it
true.
is and
You
I
have
how
to
to
learn it.
explain, but you don't learn that in your normal school classes of a foreign
Yeah.
language, right? I'm like, okay, a lot of things to do. And to be honest, my students just helped me alongside, because I was just like, on the thing that you like use for measuring things. You mean the ruler? Yeah, ruler, yeah. So but I was always honest and upfront that, yeah, well, I now have my maths degree and I've been tutoring for so many years, but also I'm a foreigner, so that's also why I was charging a bit less at first, and I don't know quite completely the curriculum just yet, so all the reasons, and everyone was always happy with it. So just being upfront and still
Yeah.
being very professional and just set the expectations they are, and it always worked for me like that. It was not a problem. And very helpful was also to actually work at school. Was working as a teaching assistant, cover teacher. To be honest, even if I do not have any QTS, I see so many often people now say, "Oh, you don't have qualified teacher status, you can be teaching." I'm like, "Well, yeah, you can. Oh, you can be tutoring. Well, you definitely can be tutoring. You can actually be even teaching in schools. That's how it works." So,
Yeah.
especially for maths, people just are needed. So yeah, I did all of that, and that helped a lot actually, really, to learn about the curriculum specifically in England. It's different in Scotland, but because Scotland in population is 10 times smaller than England, right? It's
Yeah.
just still better to have the advantage of being able to tutor the curriculum in England
Yeah.
and be very well obviously acquainted with it. You can also do English exams. I mean, for like English curriculum exams here in Scotland as well. So I have students from Scotland who are actually doing GCSE instead of National 5. So the English part instead of the Scottish part. So yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's
to know rather
interesting.
more than
Yeah.
less.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so you have been now tutoring for a while. Is it only in person or are you now doing online?
Well, I've started always in person, and it was always easy to find in person. Being back in my home country or being in London, but then COVID happened. And actually, out of all the bad stuff of COVID, actually was really good because it forced everyone to do online.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, great, now I can be really only online. And at some point it was like a bit scary because obviously people still wanted to do face to face, even though they were locked down and everything. I'm like, it's a lockdown, we can't do face to face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like pushing it. So for a little while, I actually was really having pretty much no income, but then somehow it switched some people because probably more and more people are saying, no, just online. and people learn online is really cool. I really think it's better than face to
I
face.
think it's better, especially for maths, because you can see on the screen and like you're really both able to focus in. I mean, if you're on a shared piece of paper, I mean, you're really in each other's faces, aren't you? That would just be a COVID nightmare. But you really can see, and you've got so many amazing tools online too.
Yeah.
I know I've seen some of the maths-based software that you can get.
Mhm.
So I think I really agree with you there. I actually think, especially for maths, like it can be better, and even for English. When I'm like doing writing, I can actually see stuff together and we can mark it together online. So
Yeah.
that's really good too. Okay, so you've been now teaching online. So tell me, you are branching out into group classes. And this is really what I really wanted to connect with you with, because I know that not many teachers are brave enough or kind of have wrapped their heads around how do you do group classes, and you are kind of just branching out into that. So can you share a bit with me about your group classes?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I said, I'm my own now online. I'm starting just now, so focusing on getting the students ready. Why is that? Because I end up while I'm actually teaching across the whole several curriculums and across the all age levels. I do have really very young students as well as older ones, mature adult learners as well. I tutor around, but I tutor mostly a specific group level because the most common exams that most students dread because they're those you have to take maths
Yes.
in, and even though you maybe don't want to study that further, right? So there's the kind of like that, there's the threshold where everyone needs to take them and not everyone is that good at it, or then people want to be really good because they want to study that further. So that there's a GCSE level, basically from England curriculum perspective, and I end up doing the same thing with one-to-one students the
Yes.
same week or even the same day. I'm like, I literally said that 2 hours ago, or
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing the same thing in with the next student. It's such a
Yeah.
repetition. It really doesn't make sense
No.
to just do that. And like in groups, there are so many advantages groups as well. While it's not for everyone, I know that I have some students, especially when they have special education needs and or various anxieties and stuff. That's something else, but a lot of students would even benefit having that little small group setting. So
Yeah.
for all the reasons, I'm trying to really push that way. Well, when I was doing groups back in the days, let's say in the tuition center, it was not really put well that together the way I want to do it, because it was like they were usually students various levels doing the different things. I was just like a helicopter around them and just helping who needs what. Often they would have to wait for me. That's not really the advantageous ways of how to run groups. But the tutoring center was still full, and students were still
Yeah.
going
Parents
just
are willing to
class,
pay
to
for
be honest.
maths tuition. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate what you've said there, because I think it's really important for teachers who go into group classes, is to find a niche where there's a group of people who are all willing to learn the same thing, and that is often based around exams.
Mhm.
So your niche is GCSE exam. And so my niche is the 11 plus exams English. Okay, so everyone has to study for exam in order to, so like in England, you can't go to university unless you get a C or more in maths. So this is where like parents are willing to pay money because their students, their kids have to pass these exams. And so there's a big group of students. It's the same curriculum which you can use for multiple students. They're typically on the same level because they're all learning for the same exam. And it's a really good way to have group classes. So tell me a bit about your group classes. How many are you going to cap the groups at a certain amount and say I'm only accepting up to 5, or are you just going to have it open up to 10, up to 20? Have you got an idea of that? And then afterwards, can you tell me about your terms and conditions? Like, what terms and conditions are you thinking to use?
Okay, yeah. So the group, it's kind of open because I want to be working with the students and get their feedback and see what works the best. So I do not have a specific number in mind to cap. Obviously, I don't want to be a big classroom because that would a little bit lose the idea. And also because my groups, in the way that there is a theory that's pre-recorded, so everyone can watch it, re-watch it in their own pace and time, and then be ready for the live lessons, which actually be more like a student-led, question-based. So the students will be asking me. So obviously, if there'll be too many students, we'll not be able to help all of them with their questions. But also the question might be repeated, and maybe there will be a few students asking me pretty much the same thing, or just slightly different, maybe example or a specific, maths problem. Like, okay, well, all these things could be now answered this way. So then it really depends about the dynamic of the group. So I'm thinking could work anywhere. If, let's say, we an hour of live lesson worth, anywhere between 4 to 8, perhaps. It really depends how these students will be working well together. So I'm more like prepared to either offer another lesson, another hour, perhaps, maybe make it slightly longer than saying maybe 75 minutes would work well for us, or then suggest at some point when they profile a little bit, maybe I suggest them to split, saying, well, it seems like you work a little bit together because you're at a little bit different level now, and you are at a little bit different level. So I just want to be a little bit dynamic, because I still want to have the idea of like the one-to-one support is more tailored. So it's not really, you don't have to fit in a box. Otherwise, sorry, So yeah, that's the whole idea of my group classes. I'm hoping it will be working really well. It's a little bit of an experiment, but it should be better than what I've been through as group classes through other providers. I always, whenever I had my own students, it was usually, let's say, a classmate who just found me as a tutor and wanted to be tutored together, like 3, 4 together, saying, can we all learn for the exam or something? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do that. So obviously they were already at a similar level. They already knew they want to learn together. So it works that way. So in my groups, it probably will show at some point, and then I might be maybe offering variety of maybe a different lesson, or maybe let's focus first on you guys, and then if you want to hang out later in the lesson, or I'll do the rest of it with the others, or then you can catch up as well, because that
You
should
could
be
use
also
breakout
recorded.
rooms. Are you familiar with breakout rooms?
With what again?
Breakout rooms. That's it's a Zoom feature, so that if you've got groups, large amounts of groups, you can break out into different rooms. So you can say, okay, well, you 3 are going together and you've got to solve this puzzle or question, and you 4 over here. So that is a great feature to use for group classes. I want to also come back to what you were saying. So you said the structure of yours is you've got something pre-recorded. So that does take time. I saw on your Facebook post, which is when I reached out to you, these maths lessons won't pre-record themselves. So I was like, well done. You're doing like adding value to show parents, okay, there's a pre-recorded lesson that they can do in their own time. Then you're doing the live lessons, and you're allowing for question and answers. So these are really great ways for you to offer, extra value for your group classes. I also liked how you said that you'd probably go 4 to 8, and if it gets too big, you can split it. So that's how I started. I had up to 5 students, and as soon as then I wanted 6, I would split them, and I'd find out, okay, who can have a different time matches. So I'd have 3 in a class and 3 in a class, and then I'd have to open spaces that could fill up. Now, if you're doing a set course, they could just jump in and join that course. But if it's like a 5-week or an 8-week course, that doesn't always work. But I liked what you said about maybe doing 2 different times a week, because what you can do in your terms and conditions is if they've paid to come on the Monday, school has got a school play on and you can't make it. If you've got another class on Thursday, you can say, well, just come and join that class. And okay, you're going to have 1 extra in the class. It's going to be a little bit bigger, but the parents are happy that they still have a live lesson and you haven't added time to your schedule. So it's a nice way to do terms and conditions, which is where I'm coming next. So what are your terms and conditions? Do they pay weekly? Do they pay a week in advance? Do they pay for a course? Do they pay termly? What are your terms and conditions?
Well, for payments, with one-to-ones, I'm generally pretty much with everyone now on monthly payment, and it's done the way that basically I have set up direct debit, so it's the same every month. So I'm not having really hourly rates. I'm having basically monthly fee, because my time I spend on student is not really just the lesson. I sit there for an hour and that's it. So it's all kind of put together as a package. So same way I was thinking about the groups. But I know there are different demands, and I already had some parents asking me, would you also have just the videos? We're trying to find some really just very low key. They somehow said, we really like you.
That's a passive income.
Yeah.
You need to do that for your passive income, because then you can sell the whole course. And if you're clever, Veronika, is you can record your live lessons and get the parents' permission to sell them in your package. So then it's like your pre-recorded lessons, you've got the live lessons that they're watching and the questions that commonly come up. Record that and also sell that, but you just need the parents' permission. And if you have to, you can put there's a software that you can to cover their faces automatically. But that would be a really good way to get some income.
Yeah, that's actually already in the plan. Yeah, because
amazing. You're already 100 steps ahead. Amazing. Okay, that was really cool. Okay, I have a question. Your terms and conditions. So you are billing monthly. What happens if you are sick or if you have a planned holiday that you want to go away? Do you amend the monthly deposit because it's automatic? Do you find a substitute teacher? Do you put in your terms and conditions that you're allowed 3 weeks off in the year and that's within your terms? Like, what do you do for your terms?
Yeah, right. So because it's online, pretty much unless I'm literally dying and completely sick and can't even talk, then I still tutor. I was tutoring even when I had COVID. I was actually at my sister's in Florida. I got COVID there because I was traveling. And so I had to stay longer. I couldn't obviously board on my flight back. So I just said, you have a laptop or something? I need to do my lessons. I was just supplied with like liters of tea and like a thing like crazy, but I did my lessons there in her outbuilding because obviously I still had to be someone separated. And it worked.
You make it work. But what happens if you want to go on holiday? Okay, yeah, so it's Easter, you've got a big family get together, or it's Christmas, and you do not want to be teaching.
So that's all planned. That's all planned away. So again, my one-to-ones are the packages overall. They do work with all of this in mind because I have also packages with or without half-term holidays and just spread all the basically school weeks across, and there are also possibilities to rearrange. Same for the parents. If they tell me well in advance, we can still rearrange, do the lesson with different time and so on. And with the groups, of course, it's not always easy saying, oh, we rearrange the different because it's several students. So the way how I put together, I'm very organized and very precise with things. So I'm already having several years ahead seeing how that will really work out with all normally what I need to take time off and everything. So it really will still work out. But I have my course is basically like one module that covers a specific part of maths that makes sense to put together as a module, basically, be it negative numbers or be it Pythagoras theorem or things like that. So that one module is always meant to be done over 2 weeks. So the videos are packages like now you can watch it wherever you want, ideally at least some of it or all of it before the first live lesson, so then you can have a questions, and then there's the second week second live lesson for the rest of it, or to catch up, or do you just again go over whatever you still didn't get. So there is also a little bit of a way in it. If there is 1 week needed, maybe it's like, okay, we need to make another lesson either the week before or after. So that's a little bit flexible that way. So the module still, let's say, covers these 2 live lessons, but maybe it will be done in 1 week instead. Or another option would be, if really there's no other way, that the lesson might need to be done or sort of like recorded via, so the students would still send me the questions, but they will not be live in the lesson at that moment, and I'll just send it after. And they could be always, if someone will be still saying, oh, I kind of don't like it, well, that will be in terms of conditions, so they should like it. Otherwise, maybe they should not go for the course. There might be some extra dropping lessons and stuff like that, let's say over like half terms. And also, there is an option that you don't have to pay monthly. You can be just paying per module. So also that could be for those who don't want to cover everything. Perhaps I just have some gaps. So here and there, I just want to join. So if there's a space in the class, they can just say, okay, I want to do the Pythagoras theorem only. So I'm going to pay for this. I'll have the module, the videos. I have 2 weeks worth of live lessons. Or if there'll be, let's say, 2 lessons per week, could be technically 4. Depends on how it will be all. Again, what students need. If it turns out they generally need more lessons, it could be more lessons per week. So therefore, obviously, the price will adjust. And there's also option to have just the videos only. So as we already talked about it.
Yeah,
so they could change. They could change if they find out they need to go away. Or if I find, well, I need to, for whatever reason, go away or something, I might maybe at some point discuss having a supply tutor who can answer these live lessons. That's, of course, an option. But currently, I'm rather still thinking, because there's all these new legislation across the UK now being too crazy with it, so I'm just trying for now, just avoid it. I don't have to having to deal with it.
Payment,
so that's
and
to
you
do
can't
myself
hold it
in all these ways. But surely one day it would be the way onwards. But for now, I'm just trying to just still do like a one woman show, really. So
Okay, so let me just clarify what you said. Your terms and conditions is you can pay on a monthly direct debit, which is nice because it's hands off. It just goes off every month. So with that, if you have a week away, you either merge 2 modules into one and get the work done, which allows you to take kind of a week off. But you can record, or you can record the lesson. So if you record it, then in your terms and conditions, maybe you say 3 times a year, I'm going to send a recording instead of the live lesson. And that's just how it is. That's the terms and conditions. That's quite nice. You've decided not to use substitute teachers right now, which is fine. You don't have to do that. I also just wanted to point out that you also charge per module. I did this so that when I did Christmas lessons, the month of December, I would teach, okay, if it's 4 or 5 weeks, but I'd always take the last 2 weeks of the year off. And so I would have a 2-module lesson. So I used to do Christmas themed stuff. I think I did, the Christmas Carol and something else for 2 of the first weeks, knowing and planning that I had the last one off. And my direct deposit that week, I used Stripe invoicing monthly. So instead of doing a month up front, I would just do for 2 weeks. And I said, okay, that's your invoice. But then I wouldn't have any money for those 2 weeks. So you could pay per module, but it's quite nice being paid monthly and having in your terms and conditions, they have to pay you even if it's not a live lesson. I quite like that. That's nice. Yeah, then you still get paid for going on holiday. All right. Well, Veronika, thank you so much for spending some time with me, letting me ask you these questions and how you have set your business up. And I really wish you all the best as you keep teaching students for the maths exams and doing your course. It sounds really, really exciting, and well done as well for not being, a native English speaker, but launching out on your own and just having the confidence that you can do that. And I think the main thing for me is if you're providing results and you're helping people with their GCSE maths to pass, that's what parents are paying for. It doesn't matter so much about your qualification. If you're a qualified school teacher, if you're a native English speaker, they are paying you for your results and you're providing them. So well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Veronika. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Thanks. Okay, bye.